Hello and welcome to another bonus video. This is a follow-up to a prior video on the Damask rose. The origin point of the species was found to be a contentious point in the previous video. As a result, I'll be making a deeper dive into the origins, diversity, spread, and dissemination of this species. This video will be split into several sections. The introduction, currently in progress, the genetic origin, the scientific models of the species' geographical origin, and its dissemination, as well as its genetic diversity. Let's get started. In terms of genetic origin, the species was compared to other species using different genetic markers. Using this information, the species was found to be derived from two species, Rosa gallica, aka the Gallica rose, and Rosa phoenicia, aka the Phoenician rose. The Gallica rose is found across much of Europe and the South Caucasus region, which includes Turkey but not Syria. Rosa phoenica, on the other hand, is found across the Near East, including Turkey and Syria. This means that the species has the same pedigree as the Scans rose. This is the oldest known rose grown in Egypt, and is also found naturally within the region as well. This is interesting as neither species is native to Egypt, but the empire did have trade and access to the regions that had these species. The Scans rose has fewer petals in their flowers and is much smaller in stature than the Damask rose. The genetic evidence suggests that the Damask rose is first bred from populations of the Scans rose native to Egypt. This makes sense as ancient Egypt had trade routes across the Near East and the Caucasus region. This would have been the route that was taken to move the Scans rose to other locations, where they could have been used as breeding stock to make the primordial form of the Damask rose. In terms of geographical origin, there are three models of where they originate from. None of them are perfect as each have some contradiction with the scientific data. The first model is that it came from Syria. This corresponds with the written record and the archaeological record. The presence of wild damask roses in Turkey suggests that it's domesticated in the region, and the high level of genetic diversity in the Iranian damask roses suggests that there may be Iranian origin as well. The genetic analyses found that there's evidence of integration from our species over time, and the initial gene pool was quite narrow in nature. This provides enough of a framework to make a possible pathway for the dissemination and origin point of the species. Although this pathway is possible, it is only speculation on my part based on the information I have available. Future experiments will have to confirm or deny this possibility. If you want to donate to my channel, the links are below. If you want to buy my book, you can also find that link in the description box below. The initial stock used to breed the primordial Damask rose were the Scans rose found in Egypt, to what would become known as Syria. From there, the initial genetically narrow population will be spread to Iran and Turkey. The Iranian cultivars have evidence of a third species mixed into the population, indicating crossbreeding between different rose species. Given that pretty much all rose species are capable of crossbreeding, this makes sense. In Turkey, both wild parent species can still be found within the region, i.e. both the Gallica rose and the Phoenicia rose can both be found naturally within Turkey. The continuous mixing of the cultivated hybrid species with the ancestral lines will grant this population a greater level of genetic diversity and ability to survive in the absence of people. This is not uncommon in the domestication process. In flax, the primordial forms were bred in the Middle East, but most of the variation and specialized breeds were made in Eastern Europe through continuous crossbreeding with wild flax. In an inverse process, the common apple is domesticated in Eastern Europe, specifically Kazakhstan, but most of the variation that we have in modern apples and heritage apples are derived from Persian stock, made through the mixing of the Kazakhstani apples with native crab apples found in the Persian Empire. Leaving the realm of speculation, the general model of how the species spread can be seen on screen right now. What is known is that in Eastern Europe, those people got the damask rose from Turkish merchants trading with what is now known as Bulgaria. The Spanish and Italian regions likely got it from what is now known as Iran, and the rest of the continent would have attained the damask rose via the Crusades. Various groups such as the Andalusian people were major players in the spreading of the species across the Near East. In the continental Eastern realm, the spread of this species would have happened via Silk Road, through the Mongol Empire, trading with other Arab nations. Trade between the Near Eastern nations and other East Asian regions would allow for the movement of different species, including the damask rose. Trade between the Near Eastern nations and what is now known as Morocco was a route that the damask rose took to get to Africa. Another paper found something quite unique. What we call the damask rose does not refer to one particular population that's genetically distinct, but two genetically distinct populations. The Iranian population of the damask roses seem to be derived from the hybridization between the Phoenician rose and the musk rose, with layer crossbreeding between both the initial population and the Iranian exclusive population. So it's possible that a portion of the damask roses could potentially not be considered pure-blood damask roses, if such a thing is applicable. The Iranian population's wild stock splinters into 7 distinct groups, creating a great deal of variation to draw from. Many of the common phenotypes can be seen on screen right now. The experiment was done using physical traits. By using a smaller sample size, another researcher would use genetic markers to take an average of the genetic diversity level found within the Iranian populations. Through this process, it was found that the genetic variation within the Iranian populations was between 63 and 93%, based on several studies. From one of the studies, they were able to group the populations, both based on genetics and from geography, which can be seen on screen right now. Region 1 and Region 2 had the highest level of genetic diversity among the many populations in Iran. In terms of what I can find regarding the Turkish lines, there was unfortunately some disappointment. A genetic analysis of the damask roses grown in Turkey found that all the plants are cloned from a single plant and were genetically identical in terms of commercial production of rose oil. This is unlikely a representative sample of the genetic diversity in Turkey in regards to the wild stock, however. But I was unable to find anything regarding the diversity of the wild stock of that region, so I cannot say anything more. If anyone knows any papers on this topic, I would be greatly appreciative. I was, however, able to find some information regarding the wild damask roses found in Syria. It was found that there was a level of genetic diversity around 86% for this population found in Syria. In the future, I'll be looking for more information regarding the gene pool of the Turkish damask rose populations to try for a future follow-up video. But for the time being, it's likely that the origin point of the damask rose was at least once in Syria, with the possibility of a second damask rose being bred into existence within Iran, and several populations made through the mixing between both lines. And that about covers everything. Thank you for watching.